Ah, vampires. I love them. So do you, even if you don't know it. What with the internet's seeming obsession with goth girls. Bro, that's just vampires. Stay with me now. What do vampires really represent? Well, forbidden desire, danger, and the unknown as reflected by their affinity for the night. Perhaps more importantly, though, is how they are controlled and overwhelmed by their urges. Lust is what vampires represent more than anything, and it's part of why vampire media is so historically the way it is. But also, it represents an urge to escape normalcy and act defiantly, making Call of the Night an incredibly apt name for a vampire story. Most of you probably already know this though. What not all of you may know is that this series' director is an unsung vampire anime legend. Many great vampire anime have existed over the years, from Vampire Hunter D to Shiki, but Tomoyuki Itamura, the creep, is so obsessed with hot vampires that this is all he does. As far as chief directorial credits go, before Call of the Night, he did Call of the Night but Gay But Not Really, and prior to that, most of the Monogatari series.
Oh my god!
Which is a good segue into his signature style and why it meshes so well with this spooky subject matter. Many of you may recognize his most infamous scene here.
するのだ。お前も本望だろ。
This guy's incredible with romantic tension. Even in his dialogue scenes, of which there are many, the camera lingers perversely, fixates on small details, and the entire world reacts when things get intense, flushing in a bright red or expressing heartfelt appreciation with a deep bluish purple. It's a highly emotional and subjective style in this sense, prioritizing the way each character sees each other in a given moment, and painting the world accordingly. I think he's drawn to vampire anime because of the dominating emotional presence and tension these ghouls so often bring to the table, often being overwhelmed by intense feelings of bloodlust and losing control. He just loves painting the world in so many different lights based on who's looking. We can see this in Call of the Night as well. The night sky is beautiful, but also quite varied. The entire setting and atmosphere of this show feels completely different when the sky transitions from a mysterious and majestic purple to a light-hearted and boyish light blue to an ephemeral and emotionally earnest bluish yellow just at sunrise. The city feels like a blank slate that our protagonist Ko finally feels empowered to explore. It's mysterious, foreboding, and very empty. See, one of Itamura's signature stylistic traits is a total lack of background characters. A somewhat uncanny technique emphasizing the importance of the leads and the weight of their dynamic as they're the sole focal point of a much larger area. Not only does this enhance his ability to let the characters' personalities take center stage and paint the environment around them more effectively, it just feels more vulnerable and intimate when it's just one or two people for what feels like miles. Even in more subtle contexts, this underlying trend in directing moves mountains in establishing the unique vibe of this show, which I can only describe as feeling like, foreplay?
What?
It might hit your ears wrong to hear this word spoken by an AniTuber, but take a deep breath, cause I'm about to call this show sexy. Not only for its sleek color palette and mouth-watering character designs, but just for its energy, the tension, the awkward moments, the way it's just the characters and nothing else. Oftentimes no music, no BS, just Ko and Nazuna. Well, at least when the show's at its best, in my opinion. Season 2 is a bit more plot-driven and ensemble cast-focused. But let's get back to Ko for now.
What?
He truly yearns to be independent, to descend into the night and become his own free man. Which is a common behavior, really. Pursuing nightlife and romantic encounters for the sake of affirming your maturity. But it's very ironic, considering the amount of trust you put into others when pursuing something like intimacy, which Ko must do to fall for Nazuna. It really can stir up such intense emotions that can totally overtake you. People lose control all the time. I saw a horrible video the other day. There was some dude who was so overtaken by hubris that he tried to clear a monstrous puddle. A perfect visual metaphor for just how stupid people act after getting a whiff of alt pussy. Sucking blood in this series is explicitly both for feeding and reproduction per the words of Nazuna, so the sexual metaphor is loud and clear. Vampires draw in their prey with their intoxicating allure until it puts itself exactly where the vampire wants it. They sink their teeth deeply inside the meat of their victim's neck, forcing them in that moment to surrender themselves, as the sharp objects lodged in their throat must not be disturbed. In this moment, the human's independence is taken away from them as their very life essence is drained, but on some level they know they desire that liberating sensation of being exploited. Vampires simply are sinister creatures of lust, after all. It really all comes back to control. Vampire stories a lot of times are almost BDSM coded, with this series sporting a femboy dominatrix which low-key made me raise it like a full point on Mal. Nazuna constantly wants to suck on Ko, but is extremely embarrassed to talk about things like love because they bring up emotions she can't easily control. Clearly she has an attraction and draw to it, that's why her emotions regarding it are so intense in the first place, but she prefers to keep it at an arm's distance by simply sucking Ko's blood instead. Ko, on the other hand, wants to fall in love with her so he can become a vampire, but he just isn't a very romantically driven guy naturally and simply cares for her deeply as a person. What I appreciate about Ko is his honesty. In this wacky landscape of blood-sucking and affairs of love and death, so many people get trapped in vast webs of lies and deception. He's able to survive here though, all because he just knows himself and is honest. He's having a great time and enjoying his youth. There's a strong tie between the notion of nightlife as presented in this show and hookup culture. So let me come out with a hot take real quick. Hookup culture? Not that bad. I think it can be a fun way of meeting people and having unique experiences if you know what you're doing and are honest about it. Yeah, it'll probably get a bit messy, but I reckon you can even get some real great self-exploration done that way. Hell, I've even taken to it recently. Hey. Guru here.
You have the wrong house. You said you're looking for a guru?
I should have known this was a scam. I am Guru. I'm looking for Blessica.
Well, she's not here.
So you're not trying to have sex with me tonight?
No. My husband is Mr. Blimpson, the famous landmine manufacturer.
Okay. Understood. Sure, it's demonized by all kinds of people because everyone has their own charged feelings about sex for one reason or another, but truly, I think it's okay. Sometimes it turns into love, but most of the time it doesn't. And it fades into the back of your mind as you age and move on with your life, whether it be as friends, strangers, or even as bitter exes. I think that's all just kind of okay. Frankly, it's kind of fun, and repressing it totally can lead to a number of problems. I say the key is to just be honest with yourself the way Ko is here. Safety is another issue entirely though, and should be taken extremely seriously, of course, with all the predatory creeps out there. Subscribe. Like Nazuna. And there's a certain guard I think you should keep. You subscribed yet? Keep up, because it's so easy to manipulate someone if you know how. Subscribe. For example, I've been using subliminal messages for this past paragraph that very few of you probably picked up on. We are all vulnerable to manipulation, but overall, I think the exploration of vulnerability and emotions can be extremely enriching and well worth it if you act responsibly. So it's interesting because there's a sort of closed-offness to pursuing intimacy for the sake of itself and not for love, but it's still inherently vulnerable, and that is the vampire's plight, the struggle not to be exposed. Some of the most well-known traits of vampires, besides like a bunch of stupid bullshit about garlic, is that they cannot be exposed to the daylight, and they cannot see their own reflection in the mirror. The mysterious allure they have is not just to appeal to their victims, it's for survival. The vampire has many stupid weaknesses compared to other monsters and needs to protect itself, but it lusts for the human just as, in this story's case, the human lusts to be made immortal. It's about towing the line between safety and danger. Just look at Nazuna's design, for example. A draped cloak obscuring her body shape and hiding her face that quickly transforms into her exposing pretty much everything a TV anime can get away with. It's both the more conservative desire for safety and the vulnerable lust for danger wrapped in one. While I would never advise somebody to do things dangerous in real life, in fiction, these risks just make it so much more exciting. The push and pull of this thrilling lifestyle that vampires represent is so beautifully complemented by the directorial style of Tomoyuki Itamura and his ability to entirely change the feeling of a scene through directing and lighting. There's an intensity to every emotion, and the entire world around these characters is painted by their feelings and aura. But it never shies away from donning a more chatty and low-key tone, with the characters gossiping and giving shitty love advice to each other. It's because of this that this show is able to highlight the intense emotions and double life of a vampire masterfully. And I just think that makes it a really good show. What's up? What's up, Rumi? I'm home.
How was your day with Blessica? Good God in heaven, and that's to put it lightly. You look just about as fucked up as a man can get. Your shoes are blown off. Your clothes are torn to shreds. What the fuck?
It was a pretty crazy night. Your boyfriend wanted to fight me, so
Really?
yeah. So I chinned in the park. I chinned him in the parking lot. I think he's dead. I think I killed him.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. And the clothes. I mean, she didn't want me to leave. She wouldn't let me leave.
Did she do something to them?
She tugged on me.
Huh.
She was tugging on my clothes, and
You're still on fire over here.
the fire. Let's just say she was into some freaky shit, man. Your boy was scoring. It was a pretty crazy, wacky, like very crazy, great night. Great night for the guru. Great night for the guru. Shoutouts to Trey, Artemis Locke, Hermit's Nook, Karta, Aesop, Ev, Sumgoon, and Funky Boy Haas for your patronage, and have a good day, y'all.
Tell me when.
And go.